I'd like to welcome everyone to the Learner's Voice debate. This year at WISE, 30 learners from all around the world were selected to come and participate in the summit under the Learner's Voice program. And we are going to be sharing a little bit of our experiences here, including what we kind of came into the summit expecting, what our experiences like were during the summit, as well as our takeaways. I'm going to begin by just introducing or having the learners introduce themselves. They're actually sitting all around the audience. So if we can begin from my right. Go ahead, yeah, whoever has the mic. Hold on one second. I think the mic is not on. Try again.
Hi, my name is Michael Andrews. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, and I study medicine.
Hi, everyone. My name is Na Ayelisa Kwinometo, but I prefer to be called Na. I'm from Ghana. I'm from Ashesi University College, and I'm studying business administration.
Hello, everyone. My name is Martha Stephen Kimweri from Tanzania. I've just finished my degree in laws, waiting to go to law school from Tumaini University in Tanzania.
Hi, everyone. I am Auguste Anne Martin. I'm from Haiti. I'm studying electronic engineering.
Hello, everyone. This is Yasmin Dawas. I'm from Gaza, Palestine. I'm medical student, third year.
Good afternoon. My name is Vi from Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City Open University, and my major is translation.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Mariam Al-Kawari. I am a student in Qatar University. My major is international affairs.
Hello, everyone. My name is Florent de Souza. I'm a communication studies senior at Northwestern University in Qatar, and I'm a learner.
Good evening. I'm Martin De Angelis from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I just done my degree in political science at the University of Buenos Aires.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mohammed Farag, and I study engineering in Alexandria, Egypt.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Muhammad Abid Sherzai. I come from Afghanistan, and I study here in Qatar Foundation, majoring in business administration at Carnegie Mellon University.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Niwa. I'm from Indonesia, and I'm studying international politics in University of Indonesia. Thank you.
From Sierra Leone, I'm Suleiman Musa, studying political science at the Jalal University College.
Hi, everyone. My name is Renee McFarlane. I'm from South Africa, studying education at the University of Stellenbosch and doing journalism next year. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Daphne Charles. I'm from Haiti. I just finished my courses in agroeconomics, working on my final thesis.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zainab Sultan, and I'm a journalism senior at Northwestern University in Qatar. I'm an Indian, but I grew up in Saudi Arabia.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Wunel Lufrink from Haiti. I'm majoring in agronomy and environmental sciences at Quisqueya University.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adil Mohammed Saad Adam from Eritrea. I am in my senior year, Qatar University, the College of Business and Economics.
Good afternoon. I'm Pons Ernest Samaniego. I'm a business administration student from the University of the Philippines.
All right, I think that's all. Thank you very much for introducing yourselves. I will now introduce myself. My name is Noor Dukmak. I'm a sophomore at MIT studying mathematics. So I'm going to, before we introduce the rest of the panel, I'm going to briefly talk about my own experiences at WISE. I'll begin by my expectations before the summit. So like I mentioned, I'm majoring in math, and math is a very, to some, it's a very factual, concrete kind of field where you always kind of know the right answers and you always have a process to to go about to discover those right answers. And so actually my interest in education has kind of been somewhat confusing to me, just because I have this passion for education and I have this passion for education reform, and I do want the best for my region as well as the globe in terms of best practice and education standards. However, I don't really know how to direct that passion, and I coming into the summit, I was hoping that that uncontrolled passion in a way would become directed through my, my attendance at different discussions as well as different debates. So I guess my expectations were that I would find direction and I would discover what education globally needed me to do, whether it was, well, should I go into curriculum design? Should I go into teacher development? Should I go into policy? How best would I be able to contribute to global education? So those were kind of my expectations. I wanted direction. Coming to the summit and having been in the summit for the past 3 days, I did try to go to as many discussions and debates as I could. And my experience has been that I am now more confident and more aware of what is being discussed globally in the global sphere about education. I have somewhat of a foothold now as to what is out there. I know that I can kind of at least be confident that I'm on the same page as a lot of the great thinkers around the world. So I think that I've gotten a lot more perspective, and I'm not too sure if I've actually been able to answer my question of what should I do for the education cause, but I certainly have, it's shed a lot of light for me. So in terms of takeaways after the summit, I think listening to all of, I'm sure the learners will talk about this, but listening to all of the big ideas being thrown out there, and a lot of it can seem so theoretical to a student who's still in the classroom. And so I think that my biggest takeaway is that I'm going to make sure that whatever I do in my life, whatever I do in terms of education, I do want to still have that connection with real students. I still want to be in the classroom, if not a full-time teacher, at least volunteering every so often in my community, because I feel like connecting with the students is really going to make me have a solid kind of grasp and a solid pretty much a solid grasp of what's going on in the practical world and how I can translate those big, lofty ideas into practice. And so that's pretty much been WISE for me in a nutshell. I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Muhammad Al-Jabri, and he will explain his experience at WISE. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is quite an honor to be one of the 30 students who came from all around the world in order to represent learners. I actually don't believe in something called a person can represent countries or nations of others. Every person has his or her own spice that is being added to this life. Before I came to this summit, I had expectations just like any other person or any other delegate. I was really excited about the idea of that I'll beat 30 new competitors of my life. But when I got here, it turned out like we had a lot of things in common. We turned out to be friends. I have been to many conferences before. And as you all know, at the end of any conference, people would leave and nothing will do anything. A lot of things will be made, a lot of policies might be advocated for, but at the end, is there an effect? Who knows? What I have seen and I have felt as a learner voice participant in this summit is quite fascinating. At the end of my first day here, I tweeted that innovation comes out of poverty and wealth. Slums in India or Brazil have very, very, very hard circumstances that make people question their living conditions and just create very amazing and creative solutions for their lives. And countries who have the resources, just like Qatar, stimulates unusual positiveness, stimulates mind, and invest in something called mindset. We have always been in places or heard on TV that investment is a term of money, but knowledge, to me, is more worth than that. What I'm going to have with me when I leave is not just the knowledge and experience or the network I will have. It is the fascinating relationship that dealt here between generations. It's always been debatable that ages have limits. However, here we do not feel that. We would approach high-profile people, asking them for interviews or just to chat with, and they will be happily welcoming our company. And that was really, really, really fascinating for me. As a learner who is leaving like tomorrow, hopefully, inshallah, we'll start a new path, or actually it's not new, a path of life, a path of contributing to education, not just as a learner, but as a young social entrepreneur who has visions and dreams in order to make a better world. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mohammed, for that, for sharing your experiences. Certainly interesting. Now we will move over to Ivica Alpeza, and she will tell us about her experiences with WISE.
Thank you. I'm Ivica Alpeza, and I come from Bosnia and Herzegovina, where in Mostar, at University of Mostar, I study economy. But here I'm as a board member of the Organizing Bureau of European School Student Unions, OBESU. As a board member of this organization, namely known as OBESU, I came here initially to see how to share, how to network, how to deal with the matters related to education. Also, I wanted to see how are students seen as are they basically seen as equal stakeholders in the education system and in education as in general, because we strongly believe that we, the students, have the equal access to education and equal say in education as all other stakeholders. But actually what happened here, we did a lot of networking within the Learner Voice program. We did a lot of sharing. We make a lot of connections within each other, which is really important. But also we discussed important topics. And which I find really important, we show how we do stuff on our own way, which means we organized workshops in recent days, which you might attend already. They were addressed on social entrepreneurship, and another was yesterday, which was addressed on advocacy. We try to show how does non-formal education functions and what are the non-formal education methods to be implemented within the learning. Why exactly non-formal education? Because there's a simpler reason lying behind it. So it gives dynamic approach to learning, also at catering for needs of various learners. Hand in hand with this goes what will I actually bring back to my home organization. As I already said, I will bring a lot of networking, new contacts, a new plan how to do stuff on a bit different way, and that they are still dealing in the field of education. But also what I'm actually going to bring home is the fact that the world is extremely big. But when it comes to challenges such as education, then becomes quite small because we are all facing it at the moment. Also, I will bring home will to continue to be engaged within the WISE and this Learners Voice community, meaning not that we met like 30 learners from all over the globe and discussed some relevant topics to education, but actually to meet once again, even more several times, to work on concrete projects related to education and use methods that might be considered as innovative, but still helpful in a specific educational system. So I would like to conclude this with just saying future of education goes hand in hand with the purpose of education, which is to educate people for lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ivica. And now we'll shift over to Mahmoud Abbas. We've saved the best for last.
Definitely. Can I just say, isn't WISE awesome? I mean, they've gathered these people from all over the world to come and discuss education here. I love WISE. I wish I could come here next time again. So this is my first time attending WISE, and I really must admit that I had high hopes and hypes about WISE. And I must congratulate Qatar Foundation and the organizing team for pulling off such a conference really well. So some of the things that I was aspiring to see before coming to WISE was, when we were here at WISE, we get to run into a lot of politicians and public leaders and popular people. But to me, it was more interesting to meet my fellow learners and to discuss the social entrepreneurship projects that they were doing in their respective countries, because it was kind of like a platform for me and my fellow learners to share and exchange ideas and get inspired by the like-minded people that are doing projects in their respective countries. And another thing I was interested in was discovering the mindset in the Arab world. I was really intrigued and surprised when I heard that WISE was being held in Qatar. You know, Qatar being a resource-rich country, and they want to host a conference on education. I was like, what? But in the end of it all, I'm really glad that they did it, and I'm glad that Qatar is realizing that education is a really pressing issue and urgent matter that needs to be addressed. So over the past couple of days, some of you might have noticed that the Learner's Voice team has been conducting several interviews with the speakers. And some of the speakers that were interviewed include Dr. Sheikha Al-Misnad, who's the president of Qatar University. We also interviewed Sir Fazli Hassan Abed, who's the WISE Prize laureate this year. And we also interviewed Anthony Salcito, who is the Microsoft Vice President for Education. Alan Goodman, CEO of IIE, was also interviewed. Sir Michael Berber, the head of McKinsey, was interviewed. And all these interviews and much more can be found at the Learner's Voice blog. I think the address is learnersvoice.tumblr.com. So if you're interested in these videos, please go ahead and check them out. I really enjoyed some of the sessions that were prepared here, but what struck me the most were the ad hoc sessions that were organized by the Learner's Voice members, the social entrepreneurship one and the advocacy one. I especially enjoyed the advocacy session because it was really interactive and really engaging the attendance. And I believe it was one of the most fruitful sessions I attended at WISE.
Yeah.
One of the quotes that I'll take back home is a quote by Dr. Gregorian. He said that the problem with education leaders is that the problem with government leaders is that they view education as a cost and not an investment. And I think this is a really huge issue that is that is common in many countries, and we really need to encourage our leaders to change their mindset. One of the other things that I'd be interested after WISE is, all the learners who came here had various social entrepreneurship projects, and they used this platform to share their projects with experts in education, and they got some advice and refinements and probably some resources. And I'd really like to meet the learners again or hear from them probably after 1 year and discuss with them or just review how their projects are going on. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. And now we will open up the floor to any questions. We will take questions from the audience, and then any of the 30 learners around the room will be able to answer, hopefully. So, yeah. Does anyone have a question? All right, I see a question here. Can someone pass the mic over?
Hi, my name is Salma Musa. I'm a senior at Georgetown University here in Qatar. I guess I have more of a comment to see what you guys think, and that one of the concepts we keep hearing over and over again in this conference is that, and as Ivika mentioned, that students need to feel that they're stakeholders in the education system, and we need to listen to the students' voices, and it can't be a top-down system. But at this WISE conference, there are no students. It's just this meeting of great minds and everything, but where are the students here? And the conference is not opened up to the students that go here. So I just wonder what you guys think about how maybe for the future, how we can contribute to the quality of the debate here by being more inclusive of students.
I think that's a great question. Thank you very much for that question. Learners, I want to see your hands. We are here. All right.
Well, I think that's exactly the idea behind the Learner's Voice program and I think the idea is to enlarge this, to scale it up. We've been talking a lot about scaling up projects, and that is the idea with this project as well, is to all the more include students' voice in the debate. And already this year, at some of the sessions, students were part of the panels or speakers as well. And I think in future, just enlarging the process that has already been started will facilitate that process.
Absolutely. Does anyone else have anything to add? Any of the learners? Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's a very great step we already did, because at the beginning of the WISE, we didn't even have learners. I think it's the first step, because they invited us, and that's here we were much than last year. I think we will share our feedbacks with the staff and member staff, and I think in the future we will have more learners and we will have more participation of students in the summit of WISE.
Yeah, hopefully so. Any questions? Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all.
We're waiting on the mic.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
I just want to thank all the panelists for their discussion. And I just had a question that I'd like to be answered by all three of you. If you could choose one challenge that our generation is facing now with education, what would it be? Is it the lack of infrastructure? Is it the money problem? Is it the lack of awareness? Is it that our generation suddenly has a lack of will to educate? What would you identify as the main problem? And if so, how can we address that problem? Thank you.
Great question. Thanks. Would you like to begin, Mohammed?
I have always been discussing. I have always been discussing this issue that WISE is a summit for solutions. Problems have been identified lately, but solutions, have we taken the action for that? Personally, I believe the lack of empowerment for young people is one of the most crucial problems that we face. For example, if you would like to look statistics about the number of people who are activists in this world, you'll find it not the majority. I'm not saying that everyone should be activists. I'm saying the mentality, the more people who have the mentality of working towards the community will be better. The same goes to education. If in education we empower our kids starting from the kindergarten or the primary school, we are expecting to have people who really care first about their education, their communities, and aim high in order to change the world globally.
Great. So youth empowerment is Mohammed's choice. What about you, Ivica?
Thank you. I think actually this is a really good question, but I wouldn't say it or form it like a problem, one general problem. I would say more like a challenge, because we have like different parts of the world that are not equally developed. So it's not that easy to say, okay, there's a one problem or one challenge. But something that is really unique and goes hand in hand with all of the students, school students, primary students, or university students, I would say would be student rights. By addressing student rights, there you have equal access to education, you have participation on all levels. There you go with the facilities. There you go also with the transportation, financial aspect of education. So by promoting, I would say, these rights and giving them the right place, we would find solution for adult challenges that the education is facing nowadays. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So student rights, very much in tune with Muhammad's answer. What about you, Abbas?
I think that we as students, at least in my country, like blaming the education system, the government in the failures in education, and yet we ourselves don't take the education course in university. We don't value the education course in university. For somebody to do education itself as a course in university isn't really valued. It has lacked its prestige. Every student, every young person in Kenya wants to be a doctor, wants to be a pilot. It's only the worst students that take education, and so I think that education itself as a cause should recapture its prestige. And when you're saying that you're studying education, it should be like, hey, I'm studying medicine. So I think that we ourselves should take the initiative of revitalizing the education value.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that I can relate to that personally because I often get worried looks from people when I tell them I want to be a high school math teacher after I graduate from MIT. And they look so concerned about me and they feel so sorry for me and as if I'm lost. But I think it's on quite the contrary. We need the best people in the community to really go out there and get their hands dirty. So in case you wanted my opinion, I know you said 3, but I would definitely be much in support of Abbas's answer. Okay, yes, please. We have some learners to add to that.
Well, I would identify the challenge as personally is not more of a physical setup, but it's that the student in this systematic way of education is supposed to react to the market demand and not necessarily to his own personal interest. And a lot have been said about personalization education. So I would say the challenge is that the students are challenged with answering what the market is demanding them to do in terms of business, for example, in terms of what after graduation, because we have to think about this. After I graduate, if I am studying something that is not a demand in the market, I would not find myself. So I think that's a big challenge for the students, and every student, I think, would face that problem, in my opinion.
Yeah, I saw another hand also for the learners.
I hope you're not minding getting 5 answers while you ask for 3. I would like to top up on what Adil said, that what I think the most challenging challenge or the most challenging problem is that the current educational system is not really working anymore. Young people now and learners now, they don't only acquire education from schools, they acquire it from different sources like the internet, like media, like socializing. And teachers and educators should realize that school and media are not only the only source of information right now. So how to integrate schooling, how to integrate the current education system into what drives youth and how they attain their information is, I think, the way to compromise having an educational system and also different ways of acquiring information. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So integration is another aspect. Any other questions? Okay, right here. Let's get the microphone.
I am Dr. Sheikh Al-Maskari. I'm an educator and retired educator. But when I'd like to make a comment, our panel here made a comment that the number of activists is less. I would like, first of all, to know his source. What is his source that he can say we have less activists? that I don't know what is the measure. So he is dishing out statistical information that, to me, as a regional educator, I have not come across that statistics. Number two, I think the fallacy that we've been during this panel, we are bundling together educational challenges from different parts of the world, and for countries that have extreme disparity in economic status and history of education. And so some places in the world, the challenge is financial or infrastructure. They just don't have the schools. They don't have they cannot afford the system. In the places, the Gulf, the greatest challenge that we face in the Gulf, a lack of motivation for the students. In my country, I mean, in UAE and Qatar, actually we pay, it seems absolutely farcical, but we pay university students' salaries, even high school students' salary to perform better. And if they get grades above 80%, they actually get bonuses financially, they get summer holidays free anywhere they want to go. So it's how, as a parent and an educator, to motivate them, to take them from the fantastic social life of their peer group to concentrate on education. So, I mean, it's a fallacy, first of all, to bundle everybody in this planet is facing the same challenge. And when you talk about activists, and activists, there is a big, actually a big spectrum of activists. Activists who are, anybody can be an activist, an education activist, can go there and say, we want this done, the teachers are activists, they need more salaries, and we see the protest, and we have political activists who are not only students, the political activists come from all walks of life, from all genders, from all generations, from grandmother to students in the streets. So if you say, yes, we don't have enough activists in Africa or in Canada, maybe your statement was accurate. But it was a verbal inaccuracy to say we have less, because you cannot produce the source. Okay. So activists in the Middle East today, we have the greatest number of activists in everywhere. If you say Tunisia, the government was overthrown, but youngsters who started became a national movement. Egypt, Syria, Yemen. So, and we just have a Nobel Peace Prize lady who was given Nobel Peace Prize because she was an activist. So I think we have to be very careful when you all listen to this. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. That's very true. I think that bundling everything into one kind of scope is sometimes unfair. Yeah, Muhammad, please.
Thank you for raising up the point. I keep looking to the... Actually, one of the things I have learned in this summit, during the first day, there was a panel about education and change in the Middle East. And there was a presentation giving that the lowest activism or youth social entrepreneurship or participation in general is in the Middle East by percentage of 35% in the whole world. I know that there is no certain measurement or a definition for a person to be an activist. Someone may say a word and be an activist, but the difference line between both is the person who's taking action. I'm actually, when I introduced myself, I did not say where I come from or where I study. I'm originally from Yemen. I'm actually from Yemen. At the moment, I live in France. I study engineering. The idea that young people, young activists in the world, people who take action, I believe we don't need statistics or international organizations in order to do that. But facing the problems as a Yemeni in my community, as an example of the countries of the world, the number of people who have the mentality of doing things for their community service and other things, or the mentality of volunteerism is really, really, really crucial. I wouldn't depend on any statistic because there are international enterprises and international NGOs that have been doing a lot of statistics, but at the end, nothing has been done actually for the people in reality. That's my comment back.
Okay, would anyone else like to comment? I'll take one more comment and then we'll move on to another question. So do we have the microphone?
I would like to have a definition. What is an activist? An NGO or a person who is a social worker or social, they are not active. To our knowledge, in the region, activist is an individual who takes a cause, whatever it is, and goes and their motive is to bring change, but it's not NGOs. I'm the chairperson of one of the great NGOs, United Mercy Foundation. We are certainly not activists. We have orphanages all over the world. We have take children from the streets. Activism is something else. So I think you're misreading it. And when you say something, you need to have the source. Don't say, we have a presentation at the beginning of this. What on earth are they talking about Middle East? When you're confusing entrepreneurship to activism. Entrepreneurship is something else. Okay, to activism. I think this subject is closed, but I would like to correct you. You are misleading the audience in what you're saying.
We are learners after all.
It's true. All right, I'll open up the... Oh, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to comment about the part where you said how you motivate students to get into the educational system by giving them incentives of money and vacation. But unfortunately, this is not the way to do it. Youth need to follow their passion. It's not about money. If you monetize everything, then we are materialistic young learners, and this is not what we are. If you believe that if you have to motivate people by only money, then we are in a bad word. It wouldn't work. But you have to motivate learners by letting them follow their passion and not obliging them to learn or get more information about things they don't want to do, because at the end, after the school time, they go home and they do other activities that have followed their passion, and they don't need money to do that. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Farag. And now, more questions. Let's see, I see some questions here. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Cecilia. I'm from MIT. First of all, I want to just commend all of the learners here. It's wonderful to sit here and hear you, and it makes me feel so good about what's coming in the next generation. My question is, each of you talked about one of the major things you've taken away this week is the network, the contacts. And I just wonder, have you talked together about how do you maintain that going forward? Or do you have recommendations to WISE about how to build on that network in the coming years?
Thank you for that question. Great question. Let's see. We have an answer here. Please.
Hi, thank you very much for that question. Yes, in terms of continuing with the network as learners, we've opened a Facebook page called WISE 2011 Learners Voice group. So we've been posting our pictures, been posting our comments, been posting our videos over there. So that's the medium where we as learners are going to keep in contact with each other and network and try and share more ideas and express our views on how to improve education. Thank you.
Yeah, and if I can... Oh, okay, we have another learner, please, to comment.
One of the things that you mentioned right now about, how we as learners could contribute in something continuing right after the summit also gets done. This is a question that was brought up when we had to pitch the projects to Dr. Abdullah Al-Thani, and the panelist right there, Vita, she was the one who talked about this. And I think what we are planning to do is definitely, I think WISE at these 3 days, our learner advisees, they are actually thinking about how we could, as group together and work on this. But as a recommendation for next year, because the summit itself, it focuses on education. And for us, we were divided into advocacy and social entrepreneurship groups. So if our goal is more like, in terms of reforming education, maybe as learners, we could pick up one project and then work on it for a year till you come back to the next summit, you know. So maybe the learners, like 2011 learners, can present the project that they worked on in 2012. I mean, that's something which would make it sustainable as well.
Yep, thank you. And also, if my understanding is correct, the MyWise network online is going to be open throughout the year. So that's always an opportunity for us to connect both to the learners and all of the attendees. I'll take another question now from the audience. All right, we have one right here, if we can get the mic. And you're next, sir.
Well, for the younger students, I think the structural setting of classrooms has become a little bit irrelevant or even obsolete. We need to change the whole setting so that they don't end up just as negative listeners who are not really interacting and contributing to the whole process of education and the learning experience. So I don't know how you think about this. Thank you.
So can we get learners to comment on the structure of the classrooms nowadays and how we feel about that?
Maybe I can, finally. So I'd like to comment also on the previous questions. No, so first of all, I'd like to think on the previous question about you feeling good about the next generation. It really means a lot hearing that from you. But I'd also, just to add on the things that my co-learner said, we also made connections with those of you who are in the education sector already. Some of us, I heard, are going to do projects in collaboration with other partners here, and that really makes us feel good just as well. On the other question before that, is she still there? But I guess on the just to add on that, on her comment regarding a fallacy of bringing together everyone in order to that there's a global solution to education, if I'm saying that right, or that the recognition that we have all different problems from different places. I guess it's just a different way of looking at it. From where I'm coming from, WISE as a whole, what it's doing is that recognizing the fact that globalization is we cannot stop globalization, and as much as we do come from different nationalities or countries, we do have a core humanity, and that we all face one global problem, which is, and that we as a whole come together to find solution to problems much bigger than our local, to where we are all coming from, and also it's also about preparing our generation to face the challenges that we'll be facing in the future, which is we see as global scope in nature. So for the question that was asked, I'd like other learners to answer it.
Okay, thank you very much for your contribution.
I was on our university's Student Representative Council this year, and we had a very big problem of getting students to engage critically in different issues on campus, whether it would be bad food in residences or bad management or bad lecturers, etc. And throughout the year, we were trying to realize what is the main root of this kind of, people like to call it apathy, or why can't we get students to engage critically? And after contemplating on this issue for the entire year, I think one of the biggest causes of this kind of apathy and lack of critical engagement would be exactly that we come into a lot of classrooms, and I was in one debate where somebody mentioned this, where lecturers kind of go on with the class without even going to the trouble of getting to know learners, and without really critically engaging them as well. And like me, myself, I am quite a diligent student, but some of my subjects, I went to the first class and saw that this teacher is basically just reading stuff this lecturer is just reading stuff that I can read on my own, and then just decided not to attend class anymore. And I think to kind of create a critical mindset through students, we first have to kind of, with current affairs or anything else, we first have to critically engage them in the class. And if we're not able to do that, we're going to lose their interest and they're not going to participate or attend. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. One more?
Again, I would like to, in order to answer the question, the fact that we cannot combine, when it comes to the problem of primary education, we cannot combine everything as in like a common thing, because we all come from different parts of the world, and the challenges are going to be very different in different areas. As in India, like I worked for some time in Tanzania to teach in a school, and what I saw in a primary school, there were about 50 students and one teacher. And so the fact that Renee was pointing out about connecting to the students and one-on-one attention, that is something which is not going to be achieved in such classrooms. And I think that's the challenge where, like, even in India, where if you go back to the villages, it's not going to be easy to have that sort of, student-teacher ratio where there's more engagement with the teachers. And I think that's the bigger challenge when you come to maybe Gulf countries. You have the wealth, but as the woman pointed out over there, there's a lack of motivation maybe, which we should, so it's going to be different focus areas where we have to work for.
Thank you for that, yeah. I'll take the question over there in the back.
Thank you, and I'm sure many of you, perhaps all of you, have heard during this past 40 hours or so about important skills that schools should help students acquire for the 21st century, like critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork, etc. And also, you probably heard that schools may help people, or students, to get into university. It may help them get employment if they don't go to university. It may help them find their passion. It may help them recognize their talents. So I would like to ask you, in what way do you think your schools have served you or have failed you in these respects? Thank you.
Great question. Thank you so much. Let's have a learner answer. We have an answer here.
First of all, I have a comment and a previous comment. Yeah, I think that each university or college has problems, and I think in my university has a problem, many problems. But as a student, we have to deal with them, and we have to help teachers how to deal with these problems, not just complain. And if we come together in one solution, we can solve this problem. I think in my lectures, we just deal with the reading chapters, but nowadays we debate and we present presentation. I think it is improved. So that's it.
And can you give a comment about the last question on how you think your school has contributed to after you graduated?
I think
or maybe hasn't done you a
I
service.
think we have to, as I told you before, to talk with them and make a conversation. What's the better for the student for next generation? Yeah.
All right. Can we have an answer? Yep. Go ahead.
I'm Martha from Tanzania. What I think my school or my classes helped me is the knowledge, just the books knowledge that I'm told, like, I'm doing laws. So I just read about laws in books, but I just don't do it in practice. Like in the university I went to, we just practice law in class, but we don't go to courts to do the actual practice of standing in court and solve cases in court. So like something that my university or my education system has failed me is to give me the practical knowledge of what I'm supposed to do in my career.
Thank you, Martha. Yeah, I think that's a recurrent theme in terms of theoretical and practical. I think Ivica has something to add to that.
I would just like to comment on the question raised on 21st century knowledge, skills and competencies. On the European ground these days there are so many discussions exactly on knowledge, skills and competencies. What are the skills that are to be acquired for the labor market when we finish our, for instance, vocational education and training, or when we finish our university studies. But the catch is that the purpose of education shouldn't be making or producing students ready for labor market. It's much more than that. As I stated in my initial speech, the purpose of education is to educate students, people for lives. What I gained from my secondary education, from my university, were just basic standpoints. I got a lot of empowering motivation, how to learn, how to study much more, not only what was offered by the compulsory education or by formal education. I was pushed to investigate, to explore a bit more and think on my own. And I think that's something that helps a lot. It doesn't matter, does it fill in with my labor market or not, because anyway, during my lifetime, I would change who knows how many jobs or how many professions. So it needs to give me happiness, I would say. Teachers, professors, as we mentioned, like what should be the perfect school environment, university environment, learning environment. It's not about facilities. Yes, they mean a lot. But you have like happy teachers, happy professors, happy students, happy learners. That's the recipe, I believe.
Great answer. I think we have, in the interest of time, I'm just going to go ahead and take another question, please. It might be our last. If we can get the mic over here.
Thanks very much. I want to express my appreciation for the terrifically challenging quality of lots of the questions, but I noticed that all of our learners are in college, and I do think that it would have been helpful to have had some school-age learners join us too. There's a sense in which everyone here has kind of made it through, maybe because of your school environment, maybe in spite of your school environment. And I think that listening to the voices of school students is a really important exercise. They are absolutely capable of contributing to debates like this, and they have a unique perspective. So I'd hope that in future, the debate could be extended to include them. No ageism, please.
I like that, yeah. I think hopefully we haven't forgotten too badly our K-12 experiences, but you're right. People living in it are certainly going to offer much more. Do any of the learners have anything to say? Johara here, if we could pass the mic over.
I think your question follows up nicely from the question that came before, and I think what it is a lot of the students that learn a lot from school and learn to adapt the tools that they're taught to the real world are the ones that have like the creativity and the capacity to take what they learned a step further. And I think that is something that can be taught but isn't being taught. So you're given all this information, but you're not taught what to do with it. And I think it's the students that learn what to do with it that are successful. And I think that that's where schools are falling short, is that they're teaching you one part of the process, but they're not teaching you the other part. That you have to learn that the knowledge that you gain from school, you have to be able to translate it. And I think that that's what's not being taught. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Johara. I guess we do have time for another question then. I'll take a question from a previous learner, actually. If we can get the mic over here.
Thanks. Hi. My name is Ignacio. I'm from Venezuela. And yeah, like you said, I'm a learner from last year. And I just wanted to comment, if you don't mind, something around the subject also that Salma was speaking in the first question, is that the importance of having more learners and more activity with students and also school students as well. I believe there should be more student programs inside WISE, not just the learner's voice. And because, for example, with the teacher that was speaking before about the importance of numbers, I think right now we represent 2% of the people, 2.5% of the people that are in this summit. And on a laboratory, that would represent, an error of 2.5. It isn't even taken into account. So I think we need to approach a lot more people to this summit, get it to 10%. I have lots more students. I've been to some of the sessions during the summit, and I think this is one of the ones that has been more heated up and that's been more challenging. And I think we need that in all the sessions. We normally aren't so attached to our commitments to be able to question other people here in the summit, and I think we need more to get people out of their comfort zone, because you are the guys that are making the decisions, and sometimes the student voices are needed to be heard a lot more, because we have a lot of questions. And if we had half of the people here students, that would be half of the people that you would be teaching and we would be taking back home to our groups of students and our societies, and we are all learning, and that is going to reach a lot more if we keep rising the number of people and programs that are attending here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your comment. We'll take this question and then wrap up, I promise.
I really enjoy hearing your comments and contribution to WISE. To link the education to the market, labor market, is very important things. There are some skills, I agree with the gentleman who said critical thinking, problem solving is very important in education. It's not just knowledge, because you will move from different culture, different countries, work today here and work tomorrow there. If you don't have the knowledge of critical thinking and problem solving, maybe you will fail in your life. Knowledge usually is not enough. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much for your comment. I think that's a great wrap up. If any of the learners have anything to say or add, I think we got it. All right, Florent, can you keep it under 10 seconds? 9, 8, 7.
Hi, my name is Florent. Thank you very much. No, I think an overlying discussion that we all had was the standard of education throughout the world, and it's really good. It's really great that we interacted at this summit with so many learners and so many educators and policymakers from around the world, because one of the main things the gentleman mentioned just now is this universal kind of education about problem solving and critical thinking. And we had another comment earlier about this education system that is different from culture to culture. There's a really great idea one of the learners had mentioned during his pitch to Dr. Abdullah during our session, was the standardization of education around the world. And we need to understand what are the universal standards of education and how do we appropriately apply these universal standards without stepping over cultural norms, economic boundaries, and that sort. Now, that's a very tricky, complex, intricate problem. But in the sense that how can we give out the same quality of education, a really high quality of education, at the same time know that everybody, every culture, every nation is different?
Thank you, Florent, and thank you to all the learners who are here and participated, and thank you so much for all of the attendees who came out. We're really excited to be here. We've been excited to be here for the past 3 days and listen in and participate. So I'd like to thank everyone. And I hope that we can all leave the summit, thinking about learners' voice, thinking about how to involve, the people who are really caring about and who are putting all these efforts towards. And yeah, I'll leave with that, and I'll conclude with that. And I have some administrative things to say. The next WISE debates are in the auditoriums and theater, and they're going to be from 14:45 to 1600. Or 16 o'clock. I don't know. We don't say this stuff in America, but 2:45 to 4 o'clock. And then also, if you borrowed a handheld device, please don't forget to return it to the MyWise area before closing ceremony begins. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone.